Hi, so how were you involved in the Vietnam War, Mr. Luke?
Well, indirectly, I was in school in 18 during the draft. And during the draft, they used to go on TV, they turned a tumbler, and they pulled out your birthday with a number on it. When I was 17, the number I got was like 340, which means I wasn't going to be drafted. When I was 18, I was 41, which means I was going to be drafted. I had to go down and get a physical, but I flunked my physical. I had a bad heel. I couldn't wear an army boot, so I ended up with a 4F. So I went on to college and never got drafted. However, at that time, they were pulling people out, and this was 1971. They were pulling people out of Vietnam. They weren't putting them in. So basically, I probably would have been drafted, but I wouldn't have gone to Vietnam at that time.
Okay, where were you in the United States?
I was in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, so you're here?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, this is Seattle.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is Woodinville. I was over in Spokane. That's over in God's country,
Okay,
in
God's country.
eastern Washington.
Okay.
And I went to Lewis and Clark High School.
Okay. So were you ever scared that you'd have to fight? Were you scared that you wouldn't make it back?
I wasn't too afraid of going to Vietnam because I don't think they were sending people to Vietnam. But I really am not much of a soldier and stuff. So I was happy with my 4F, and I had plans of going to the University of Washington to go to school. So I really didn't want to participate in the war effort at that time.
Okay, and then during the war, were you against it? Did you protest? Or
Spokane, Washington, they had big protests. Here, actually, they shut down, what's the name of that bridge? They shut down, I think the Aurora Bridge, the UW students. My sister was going to the UW then, and they had a big march, and they shut down the bridge about 1969, I think, here in Seattle. But over in Spokane, there wasn't much protesting going on. It was pretty small town. It did what was right.
okay, how did the Vietnam War affect your life? Were you how did it change your views?
It wasn't ever declared a war, so we kind of found that out. We discussed that in our history classes, and we had a pretty good history teacher who was talking about how this war we weren't really sure why we were there. So it kind of started that whole thing of, why did we go into some of these wars, especially the recent ones. So those were some of the things that we did.
Did you know anybody who did go in? Any of your friends?
Yes, but all my friends that went none of them went to Vietnam,
Okay.
but a few were drafted and a few volunteered, but that's because they were paid to go to college after that and they didn't have any money to.
Okay.
Yeah. And when they were drafted by the scouts, they said, oh yeah, you put in 3 years, we'll pay 4 years of college, which ended up to be 5 years for 4 years of college. So they didn't like that, but that's what happened.
Okay. Well, thank you for the interview.
Yeah, good luck.